What's up?
Hello, weirdos! We've officially made it 3 whole episodes without dropping an F-bomb.
Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing it.
Oh. There he is.
She just said, should I shut the door? I was like, I guess leave it open. And then she's like, I'll get up and shut it whenever Daniel gets home. When do you think that'll be? I was like, I don't know. Could be any time now. It's like 11 o'clock. And then there he was.
We know more than said hello, and he's here.
Right. So, this week...
Wait.
What?
How's your week?
Oh, yeah. How's your week? I hope it was well.
I hope it was fantastic. It's July. It's hot.
It's very hot. It was so hot today.
Well, I mean, technically now
today
it's
is June 30th, but...
But, like, you know, when you guys are listening to it, it'll be the end of July.
It'll be real hot.
I just want you guys to know, when this episode airs, it's going to be so close to spooky season.
Yeah.
Spooky season in my house starts when school starts.
Yeah. I can't wait to plan our October episodes.
It's always spooky season in Brittany's house.
Yeah. I'm starting to I don't know if you've noticed, trickle some things out.
Yeah, because you're turning more...
I'm turning into an old lady who likes flowers and stuff.
Cottagecore kind of stuff, too.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I still like the Halloween and the spooky stuff, but I like mushrooms, too. I want mushrooms everywhere.
But, your current theme of a lot of stuff in your house is very in tune with what today's topic is.
Yeah, I would say so. It used to be whenever I lived with my granny, it was pretty bad. I had a lot of stuff everywhere. So, we're talking about old Hollywood today. So, basically, telling some old Hollywood ghost stories. When we were seniors, we took a class called History of American Cinema.
We've talked about it before.
We have.
It was a very interesting class.
It was what sparked my love for a genre of...
I enjoyed the class. I enjoyed the content. I enjoyed everything that I did learn in there.
Yeah.
It was designed as a class.
It was a blow-off class
for
seniors.
For seniors. We watched a lot of movies. I took a lot of naps. Yeah.
But I had a years-long hyperfixation on the golden age of Hollywood because of this class. I don't know. Have we said his name?
The teacher?
Yeah.
I don't know that we said it, but we can.
Mr. Darrow. He was cool.
He was a cool ass.
Yeah, I'm sure he wouldn't mind. Especially in this context. As long as we're saying good things about him.
We say was. I'm pretty sure he's still kicking.
He is. He was, at the time, though, when we had him, he was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think he would mind at all.
He drove that Porsche.
He still does. He drives his little wife around. They are real cute.
I feel like TJ said he saw him not too long ago. Or it's been a while.
He was easy to get off track because all you had to do, if you didn't want to do your work, you just get him to talk about cars.
Yeah.
And he was he's just so easy.
Very passionate about very passionate about his Porsche.
Yes.
That's the way he said it, Porsche.
Yes. That's technically the correct
way. Well, yes, but that's not how I say it.
But, so, you're going to start off,
well, since we're doing old Hollywood, I thought it was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very appropriate to talk about the Hollywood sign ghost.
Yes.
So, Peg Entwistle was born in 1908 in Port Talbot, Wales, UK, as Millicent Lillian Entwistle. She moved to New York at 4 years old with her father, who was a theater stage manager, after the unexpected death of her mother. 10 years later, her father was killed by a hit-and-run car on Park Avenue, and she was left under the care of her uncle. Her acting career began early in her teens when she scored roles with the Boston Repertory Company and on Broadway in the renowned Theater Guild productions. It has even been said that Peg was the acting inspiration for Bette Davis. She married actor Robert Keith at age 19 on April 18th of 1927. The two quickly divorced in 1929 when she found out that he had been married previously and had a 6-year-old son. Oh. She also stated that he was a drunk and very abusive. She then moved to LA in 1932 in hopes of catching her big break. She was a very talented young actress, but only gained moderate fame. She landed a role in the film 13 Women, starring Irene Dunne, when she signed with RKO Pictures. However, when the previews were dropped, reviews weren't that great, and the movie was re-edited by the studio, and much of Peg's part was cut, leaving her only about 4 minutes of screen time. Aww. Subsequently, her contract was dropped. This sent her spiraling into a deep, dark depression. On September 18th, 1932, after a night of drinking, she told her uncle that she was still living with, that she was going to meet some friends at a local spot. I think it was like a pharmacy, is what it said. But like back then, pharmacy meant it was like it was more than just where you go to get medication.
Yeah.
She instead of doing what she said she was going to do, she instead climbed to the top of the H on the Hollywood sign that at that time read Hollywood Land, and jumped 45 feet to her death at age 24. Later, a letter that she had written was found that stated, "I'm afraid. I'm a coward. I'm sorry for everything. If I had done this a long time ago, it would have saved a lot of pain. Signed, P.E." Shortly after her death, a letter was delivered to her house from the Hollywood Playhouse offering her a role in a play. The role she was offered, though, was kind of messed up given the situation. It was the role of a woman who commits suicide. She is reported... Hold on. She is reported to haunt the area since... Get your life together. She is reported to haunt the area since, and her ghost finally gained her legendary status. Park rangers have reported sightings of a beautiful young woman with blonde hair who is wearing 1930s clothing wandering the park. She looks sad. When she's approached, she vanishes. Further, Park Ranger John Arbogast states that he often catches a whiff of gardenias, which was said to be her favorite scent when she is spotted. There have been many reports stating that a woman with blonde hair was seen walking on air or gliding. And if you've never seen a picture of this woman,
I believe I have, yes.
She's gorgeous.
Yes.
She was absolutely beautiful. But that's all I have on that.
Well, fun fact about the Hollywood sign. So, like you said, it originally said Hollywood Land, and that was just an advertisement for a subdivision, basically.
Oh.
And it was only supposed to be temporary. It wasn't supposed to be a permanent fixture.
Huh.
And, like, in the 90s, I believe, it was, like, pretty much scheduled to be demolished. Because it was in such disrepair. And it was saved by one Hugh Hefner.
Look at Hugh Hefner.
Kind of skeevy old man fame. And Playboy fame.
Listen.
But, I mean, at least he did that.
Every man aspires to be the Hef.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Get better idols. But yeah, I mean, he did do a lot to, like, there were films that were decaying in film canisters, and he would pay to preserve those films.
Nice.
Because those were, like, the only copies of those films. And so, I mean, he did do a lot for film history preservation.
Is the Hef still kicking?
Oh, no, he's dead.
Okay.
He died in, like, 2017.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. And since then, a lot has come out about...
Oh, I know it was, like, terrible conditions there, and it was, like, a really...
Yeah.
bad situation.
And personally, I have chosen to believe all those women. So.
Well, I mean, yes. But,
what a life to have lived, but I don't know.
By me saying that every man...
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, he just being surrounded by beautiful freaking women all the time.
But
why wouldn't you?
I don't know. Do it when you're their age.
Yeah. Makes sense. I like that. So this next story I have, I remember learning about this. I don't know that it was in school, but it was somewhere. Mm-hmm. When I did this research, girl, when I tell you, I was enthralled. Mm-hmm. I read probably a butt ton of websites about this.
Yeah.
So, we're going to talk about the Black Dahlia.
I love the Black Dahlia.
On January 15th...
There's a gnat in here.
I know, I saw it. On January 15th of 1947, a body of a young woman was found in a vacant lot in Los Angeles, California, at the 3800 block of Norton Avenue. The scene was gruesome as her body was cut in half and mutilated. Nicknamed the Black Dahlia, the body belonged to an aspiring actress by the name of Elizabeth Short. She was the third of 5 daughters born to Cleo, who later abandoned the family when she was 5, and her mother, Phoebe May Sawyer Short. Born on July 29th, 1924 in Boston, Massachusetts, Elizabeth was obsessed with cinema early on, and by her teen years had determined that she was going to become an actress. Mm-hmm. Short was waitressing in L.A. by the mid-1940s. Little did she know she would never catch that big break that she was waiting on. Shortly after starting her waitressing job at the age of 22, she was murdered. Her body was found by a local resident, Betty Bersinger, who initially thought that someone had discarded a mannequin along the street until she got a closer look. By the time the law got to the scene, reporters had already swooped in and began talking to witnesses and handling evidence. Some reporters got wind of her identity, and the Los Angeles Examiner contacted Phoebe May, her mother. Mm-hmm. They told her mother that Elizabeth had won a beauty contest, and that they wanted to talk to the mom. Mm-hmm. They flew her out to L.A. and then broke the truth to her, all to get an exclusive interview with her response.
That's messed up.
Short was referred to as the Black Dahlia more than her actual name was mentioned. She was identified in part by her fingerprints that were on record since she had applied for a job at an army commissary in January of 1943, and her mugshot was on file since she was arrested 7 months prior to that application, or 7 months prior after that application in Santa Barbara for underage drinking. She had dyed black hair, green eyes, was 5 foot 6 inches tall, and 118 pounds. The nickname was given as she preferred black clothing, and a popular movie had been released the year prior named The Blue Dahlia, in which a man was suspected of killing his cheating wife. The body was found nude. Okay, hold on. Before I start this, I'm giving a very good description of the condition in which she was found.
So if you don't like that...
Disclaimer.
And don't want to hear that, skip ahead a couple minutes.
Because this is gruesome. The body was found nude, cut in half, posed, drained of blood, intestines removed, and mouth cut to her ears for any and all to see. The body was scrubbed with a brush, indicated by the numerous bristles that were found on the body. The body was scrubbed so good that there was no blood on or near the body when it was found, which indicated that her murder had been committed elsewhere. The cause of death was actually a blow to the head. Signs also indicated that her head had bounced off of a hard surface when it was hit. Ooh. It was also determined that the Glasgow smile she was given to her prior to her death.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Even worse, after her death, her right boob had been removed, and her genital area was covered in several cuts. Her stomach was filled with feces. When found, the body was posed, stretched out on the ground with signs of sodomy. It was also noted that she had a tattoo of a rose on her thigh that had been sliced off and placed inside of her. Later, it was noted that the precise medical finesse that was made to divide the body was one that could have only been done by someone with extensive medical knowledge. The method was taught through the 1930s, and I later read that it's still used today. In cases of like when they have to cut a body to remove like the lower half because of like cancer or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But this method was taught through the 1930s as a way to divide the body by cutting through two specific vertebrae and no other bone. It's known as the hemicorpectomy. Though the story made headlines for several weeks, the case remains as cold as it was the day that it happened. At one point, one of dozens of people, Dr. George Hill Hodel, was named as a man of interest in the case. Even as recently as 2013, he remains a person of interest. In fact, retired police sergeant Paul Dostie, a police dog named Buster with an insane ability to detect the scent of decomposing flesh, and Dr. Hodel's own son and author, Steve Hodel, searched the doc's home.
I think I have the book his son wrote.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
The pup alerted them to the scent of human decomposition in several places in the basement. There was also a recording of a conversation with the doctor and an unknown person where Dr. Hodel allegedly stated, "Supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia. They couldn't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary because she's dead." And then I also read, too, that there were recordings of him, like, having conversations, and there were, like, female screams in the background. Steve Hodel started really looking into his father as a suspect when he discovered a small photo album that contained pictures that looked identical to Elizabeth. Also, taunting letters were sent to the police with handwriting that was very, very similar to that of the doctor's. Making this even more sus, George Hodel was named by Vanity Fair as the most pathologically decadent man in Los Angeles. His specialty was treating venereal disease among the A-list crowd. His daughter, Tamar, who was one of 11 children from 5 different baby mamas, spoke up stating that he had sexually abused her starting at age 11. She was made to pose nude for his friends. Excuse me. George was arrested in 1949 on charges of incest, but of course, because why not, he was acquitted.
Right.
Another thing going against George was that he was known to be friends with an artist by the name of Man Ray, who had several paintings with women posed and dissected in just the way that the Black Dahlia had been found. Though there had been reports that the LAPD had found and arrested the murderer but let him go, and there was an unsettling amount of confessions made, justice has never been served to the person who took the life of this poor woman, who only wanted her chance to be seen on the big screen.
That's sad.
She may not have made it to the big screen as an actress, but she will forever be immortalized and remembered.
That almost makes me want to cry.
I know,
Who does
right?
that to somebody? That's crazy. That is just so...
That I saw that story and I was like, I'm
and
reading
then whoever
through
it is just got away with it.
Right.
I bet it was him.
I mean, all the evidence is right there on it. But,
oh God, that just makes my heart hurt for her.
And for her mom to find out in that way.
Right. To be lied to by...
I mean, it infuriates me, like, we know someone whose mom had a car accident and passed away, and she found out on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because people were posting about it on Facebook and telling who it was before the family had been alerted.
They posted pictures of the accident scene, and that's what she saw before anybody was able... Her husband was on the way to tell her. And before he could get to the hospital she was working at, she was scrolling through Facebook and saw it on her local community page. So now anytime anybody posts pictures of accidents, she's like, hey, let's not do that.
And I have seen an influx in, like, people saying, there's a wreck.
Yeah.
And then, but out of respect for the family, we're not going to, you know.
Right.
But, you know, there's been an influx in that. People are being a little bit more conscious about it. But
right. But yeah, because there for a minute, it seemed like it was probably like what I would say like 2017, 2018 era. There was a lot of people like just posting pictures of car wrecks for some reason, and then she commented on that post and was like, "Hey, this is how I found out my mom died. Thanks."
Right.
I don't know. Some people are just so inconsiderate. So that's all you've got?
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Except for one of your stories I'm adding to.
So any kind of elaborations we shall seek. So as I said, that class we took really kind of sparked in me something I didn't know was an interest until it was an interest. And like I fell in love with actresses like Greta Garbo, Barbara Stanwyck, Carol Lombard is a personal favorite, Katharine Hepburn and Jean Harlow, and actors like Clark Gable, William Powell, and Cary Grant, and I could go on and on and on. And my absolute favorite, most people when I start to go on, they're like, oh God, but like the Thin Man series of films are my absolute favorite. If you've never watched them, I highly encourage it. At least the first one. There's a whole series of them. Some of them are not so good, but I have my favorites. The first one is definitely a must see, and it's not like it's like a mystery with a comedy, and it's so good. I love that movie. But I could literally talk about that all day. So
this isn't going to be a Taylor Swift dissertation type situation. No.
Which, speaking of Miss Swift minute, in a week, Speak Now Taylor's version comes out, and I'm going to be, when Dear John comes out, Taylor's version, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so obnoxious.
I have no idea what she's talking about.
Somebody might, but I'm telling you, if you've never listened to any other Taylor Swift song, Dear John, you will, as soon as you hear it, you'll know exactly why. It's like, it hits my heart. Anyway, Hollywood and Vine. At this famous intersection, it is said that the ghost of Lon Chaney, of Phantom of the Opera fame.
Love Phantom of the Opera, by the way. Can sing the entire score.
He would wait by the bus for failed audition after failed audition. And this is where he has apparently chosen to wait out some of his years in the afterlife. But also, moving to our next one, at Universal Studios Soundstage 28. Lon Chaney Sr. was a pioneer actor during the silent film era, and he died in 1930. Today, it is said that he also haunts Soundstage 28 at Universal Studios. And this is the stage that was used for Phantom of the Opera. And it has also been reported that Chaney's caped spirit has been seen running along above the stage in the catwalks.
In true Phantom of the Opera style.
Right. But there was also an electrician who fell from the catwalk in 1925, and he is also still said to still haunt the walkways. And other phenomenon that is reported here includes lights that turn on and off and doors that open and close by themselves. Next up, we've got Joan Crawford, Mommy Dearest. So, from silent film star to the queen of camp, Joan Crawford had a career that spanned nearly 45 years, and her former home, the Crawford House, is said to be haunted by her spirit as well as many others. Though the house has been exorcised many times, these ghosts refuse to leave.
I have stories.
Yes.
Or I have an addition.
Please.
The Crawford House. Christina Crawford says that when she was a child, she often heard other children's voices coming from inside the walls of this house and saw their wraiths moving through the walls. Her famous mother, Joan Crawford, also heard the voices and arranged for a local minister to perform an exorcism on the property. But eventually, the malevolent spirit of the house seemed to possess the actress. Joan Crawford's last words to her daughter were, "Don't you dare ask God to help me." After Joan died, the wall behind her bed kept erupting into flames for no apparent reason. Fire department investigators spent 4 days, at the house, but never determined what caused the freaky phenomenon. Comedian Donald O'Connor, who bought the house from Crawford, suffered much mental stress there. Anthony Newley, who next owned the house, had it exorcised again. Recent owners have called in yet another exorcist to work with the possessed house.
Oh. Wow. Next, I've got Clark Gable and Carol Lombard.
I love Clark Gable.
During the 1930s and 40s, there were no bigger names than Clark Gable and Carol Lombard, two of my own personal favorite and my favorite couple. They are said to haunt the Oatman Hotel in Oatman, Arizona. And this is where they spent their honeymoon. And you can rent that room, but I've seen pictures of it, and it doesn't look great. I'm not here to roast it, but, I mean, I'll stay looking at pictures. It's okay. Carol was killed in a plane crash just 3 years into their marriage. And she has also been spotted near the suite she and Clark shared at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, which I'll get to a little bit later. Miss Jean Harlow. The term blonde bombshell was coined for actress Jean Harlow during her very short career in Hollywood. In 1932, she married MGM studio executive Paul Byrne, who, if you've ever seen, look up a picture of him. He is a goofy-looking little man.
Oh, I thought you were about to tell me he's gorgeous.
Oh, absolutely not. Okay. Did not deserve her. Who was said to have beaten her viciously. Byrne died by suicide the same year in their upstairs bedroom. After appearing in 36 films over a 10-year span, her career was cut short. That printer always freaks me out.
That scared the shit out of me.
Her career was cut short when she died at the age of 26 of kidney failure, which could have totally been prevented if it wasn't for her mother, but that's a story for another time. We won't get into that. The spirits of both Byrne and Harlow have been seen numerous times in the mansion they once shared. I know you said you had.
I feel like I do. The ghost of actress Jean Harlow lingers in the master bedroom on the second floor of her former residence. Her husband, Agent Paul Byrne, beat her frequently and is said to have caused kidney damage from which she later died. However, the actress loved him dearly and after hearing that he had killed himself with a gun, attempted her own suicide in the upstairs bedroom. In 1966, wealthy hairstylist Jay Sebring bought the house. Sharon Tate was dating Sebring at the time, and he asked her to stay overnight in the house while he was out of town on business. In the middle of the night, Tate was awakened by the ghoulish form of Paul Byrne running around in her bedroom, bumping into things and making a lot of noise. Terrified, she ran out of the room only to come up on a hideous scene at the bottom of the staircase. She saw Jay Sebring tied to the newel post with his throat slashed from ear to ear, bleeding profusely. The vision persisted, and the sounds from the bedroom grew even louder. She thought she was losing her mind and ended up drinking herself to sleep. When Sebring returned the next morning, she told him about her strange experience. Less than 2 years later, her horrible vision would come true at the home of her new husband, Roman Polanski, not far from the Harlow house. Sharon Tate, Jay Sebring, and 3 others were slaughtered by the crazed Manson family. Tate's and Sebring's bodies were found tied together by a nylon rope that looped around an exposed roof beam in the living room.
Mm-hmm. I forgot about that.
I did too.
The Pantages Theater. So the Pantages Theater was built by billionaire, or also known as a total crazy pants, Howard Hughes, and he is still rumored to roam the halls. Once a lost wardrobe director was guided through the darkness by an invisible hand.
Spooky.
Yeah. That seems like a no thank you.
Was he calm about it? Like the way that
I have no idea. I don't know.
Sure, invisible hand, I will follow where you want me to go.
I'd be like, no thank you.
I almost dropped the bomb because I was like, I think absolutely not.
Absolutely the F not. How about that?
There we go.
Hollywood and Highland. Formerly an Egyptian-themed outdoor mall right next to the Kodak Theater and the Lowe's Hotel. When they say you're going to Hollywood on American Idol, this is where you're going.
Okay.
It is also the site of the Old Hollywood Hotel, which is where the first heartthrob of cinema, Mr. Rudolph Valentino himself, is rumored to still be there. But my source didn't elaborate on that, so I did not elaborate on that. The Knickerbocker Hotel.
Is that one that I did?
I don't think so.
I talked about him though, didn't I?
Yeah, you talked about him, his house.
Oh, yeah,
in the last episode.
That was the Falcon's lair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the Knickerbocker Hotel, there are several ghost stories swirling around this hotel, including another Rudolph Valentino appearance, where he won't leave the bar.
Man, he gets around.
He does get around, just like Miss Marilyn Monroe.
Well, in my story, it says he didn't realize he was dead.
Yeah. So, Marilyn Monroe is reported to not leave the women's bathroom. That seems like an odd choice, but okay. There was a director that died in the lobby, and Harry Houdini's widow would hold seances for years on the roof of the hotel. Seems... I don't know. Not me. I wouldn't. But Culver Studios. So, the original owner of the spot in southwestern LA... Thomas H. Ince died on the yacht of William Randolph Hearst. And the circumstances surrounding his death are still heavily debated, but one version of the story has it that Hearst shot Ince thinking that Ince was Charlie Chaplin, because Hearst thought that Chaplin was having an affair with his mistress. But even though this is a confusing story, what isn't confusing is that people see the ghost of Thomas Ince around the studio lot all the time. I've seen a movie about this too. I think Robert Downey Jr. played Charlie Chaplin in this movie.
I love Robert Downey Jr. I'm sorry, I'm choking, guys. I took a drink of my Dr. Pepper earlier.
She over here just...
And it went down the wrong way, and I've been feeling like I'm drowning slowly ever since.
Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Go ahead.
1000 North Roxbury Drive. Lucille Ball died during surgery on April 26, 1989, at the age of 77. Since her death, it is said that she still remains in the home, and new owners tell of unexplained broken windows, loud voices being heard from an empty attic, and furniture and other objects moving around inside the home. I would love for Lucille Ball to haunt my house.
Right.
I follow like her great granddaughter on Instagram.
Nice.
She's really cute. She looks a lot like her.
Does she?
Yeah. Clifton Webb, which isn't a name that like a lot of people would be familiar with, but he was popular in the 1940s and 50s. And he was best known for his portrayal of Mr. Belvedere in a series of films. And I think he was also in, like, one of the first Titanic movies, like, way on back with Barbara Stanwyck. He never married, and he shared his home with his mother until she died, who he said visited him nightly. He was known to tell friends that he, too, would haunt the house after his death, and true to his word, when he died at the age of 76 from heart disease, his ghost has been seen in the home. He has been spotted at parties, standing in the library, uttering his favorite phrase, "Well, well, well." He was a lifelong chain smoker, and non-smokers have awakened in the home covered with ashes. I wouldn't care for that. It seems messy.
Right.
He is also is said to not like women sitting in his old armchair, which begins to bounce and make noise when a female sits in it.
I think I have this story somewhere.
And Webb has also been spied at the Abbey of the Psalms Mausoleum in Hollywood Forever Memorial Park, where he is interred.
I do. I have it right here. Clifton Webb. Actor Clifton Webb loved the house and paid cash when he heard the former owner, Gene Lockhart, wanted to sell it. Webb lived here for 20 years and held frequent seances in an attempt to contact his dead mother, Maybelle. Later occupants insist the persnickety ghost of the former owner still haunts the premises. Webb, who died of a heart attack in October of '66, was very forthright and outspoken, traits he is said to have taken to the grave. His ghost is not at all bashful about keeping people from smoking or sitting in his old armchair.
Must have a thing about...
Right, you don't smoke in that chair.
He can smoke in that chair,
right.
But you can't.
If anybody, especially women, sits in the chair, it reportedly bounces and makes strange noises. Clifton Webb was a firm believer in life after death and promised never to leave this house even after he died. Columnist Joyce Haber and producer Doug Kramer, who bought the house after Webb had died, admitted to encountering his ghost on several occasions. Other owners of the house have also reported feeling the presence of Webb, and many mediums have reportedly contacted his tenacious spirit. Psychic Kenny Kingston says that Webb's influence is now extending out to the street in front of the house. Webb's ghost has also been seen standing near his crypt in Hollywood Memorial Park. Damn. These ghosts be getting around.
Right. Such as Rudolph Valentino.
Right.
So you mentioned Falcon's Lair, his home. So Rudolph Valentino was one of the greatest romantic idols of the silent film era. However, his career was cut short when he died at the age of 31 from complications from an ulcer, which I think you named like the technical term for that, which was
peritonitis.
Yeah. Immediately following his death, it was reported that he began to haunt his home grounds of Hollywood, and to this day is said to be one of Hollywood's most active ghosts. So he was most often spotted at his former mansion, the Falcon's Lair, which has since been torn down. I did a little Googling on that when you were talking about it earlier because I wanted to see a picture of it. But he was seen in the hallways, in his old bedroom, peering from a window on the second floor, and even out in the stables. And one stable worker, after having seen Valentino petting his favorite horse, promptly quit his job and never returned. He's also been seen at his beach house in Oxnard and Santa Maria Inn, where he was known to continuously knock on the door and sit on the bed. His shimmering form has also been seen floating among the costume department at Paramount Studios and roaming the catwalks above Studio 5. He has also been sighted near his final resting place in the Cathedral Mausoleum at Hollywood Forever Memorial Park. So, he really does get around.
he be getting around, but didn't... Yeah, because like I said in my story, he didn't know that he was dead.
Yeah, so he's probably just like going about his life.
Right.
You imagine that you're just a ghost, like living your life, and then all of a sudden your house is gone?
Right, and then like every time you come in contact with like a person, they like freak the hell out.
Yeah. Orson Welles. He was considered to be one of Hollywood's greatest directors and an exquisite writer, actor, producer. And Orson Welles died of a heart attack in Hollywood in 1985 at the age of 70. He was also known to be a man who loved to eat, and his spirit continues to be seen at Sweet Lady Jane's restaurant, which is known for its great food and divine desserts. Customers and staff have reported seeing Welles' caped apparition sitting at his favorite table. And additionally, the scent of his favorite brandy and cigars often accompany these sightings. Orson Welles seemed like a cool dude, but also kind of a dickhead.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. So, I'm gonna close it out with...
Oh,
you were gonna mention...
the Monroe house.
Yes.
So we mentioned Marilyn Monroe earlier.
Yeah, and I'll mention her again in my last story.
Okay. Let me find it again, because I done changed pages. So, the Monroe House. In 1973, on the 11th anniversary of Marilyn Monroe's death, psychic Anton LaVey and Marilyn's former husband, Bob Slatzer, claim her ghost materialized in front of the house where she took a fatal overdose of sleeping pills on August 4th of 1962. Although she actually died in an ambulance at 11:30 that night, her body was returned to her bedroom to give actor Peter Lawford time to clean up any traces of her affairs with the Kennedy family. Psychics who claim to have contacted her spirit all agree on the message she wants to send from the grave. Her death was an accident, not a suicide. But that was not at all... That was not at all what she had to say. Just after her death, Marilyn reportedly sent a message to her psychic advisor, Kenny Kingston, while he was driving his car on the Pacific Palisades. She told him that she would be reborn as a boy on the Isle of Capri in December of 1980. During a seance held in her former bedroom in 82, her ghost revealed a past life in which she lived as an Aztec maiden who had been sacrificed to the gods. That's different.
Yeah. The Roosevelt Hotel. So the Roosevelt Hotel came to life thanks to investors Sid Grauman, Mary Pickford, and Douglas Fairbanks. And it opened its doors on May 15th, 1927 with celebrities like Clara Bow, Gloria Swanson, Harold Lloyd, Charlie Chaplin, and Will Rogers in attendance. The Roosevelt is a 12-story building with 300 guest rooms, including 63 suites and plenty of offices and conference rooms. And at the time of its construction, it cost $2.5 million to complete. In the 1950s, the hotel began to decline and parts of the building were demolished. The elaborately painted ceilings were altered and repainted. I think it's like seafoam green, which they used to have like murals. In 1980, the hotel was almost torn down. However, it was purchased by Radisson Hotels, who implemented a $35 million restoration to the hotel. Many iconic stars have graced the hallways and dance floor of the Roosevelt. And Shirley Temple even took her first tap dancing lessons on the hotel's stairway with dancer, actor, and singer Bill Robinson.
Aww.
So her, like, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but the famous, like, stairway dance she did in one of her movies, that she did with him, I also think. That's where she learned it. Lou Ayres' 60-year career began in the Blossom Room when he asked an actress to dance with him and caught the eye of her agent with his skills and his charm. And Clark Gable and Carole Lombard started their very high-profile affair at the Gable-Lombard Penthouse, a 1,200 square foot outdoor space on the hotel's rooftop. They would stay here for $5 a night and enjoy quality time together.
$5 a night?
That must have been a lot of money back then, though.
I wish I could get a place for $5 a night.
Right. Montgomery Clift stayed in room 928 for 3 months in 1952 while filming From Here to Eternity, which earned him his 3rd Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. The most popular celebrity guest of the Roosevelt was Marilyn Monroe, who lived there for 2 years in the 1940s when she began her modeling career. Her first professional magazine shoot was for a lotion brand and was shot at the pool of the hotel. She stayed in a 750 square foot suite that features vintage furniture, sleek hardwood floor, and mid-century accents. And the room is now called the Maryland Suite and is one of the most requested rooms. Following the renovations in 1984, spirits around the building seemed to become more restless and active. Some people say that the troubled and unhappy soul of Miss Norma Jean herself roams around her old Suite 1200 as well as other parts of the hotel. The most reports are about a full-length mirror that used to be in her old suite, and the reports became so frequent that the staff were forced to move the mirror into the hallway to avoid losing guests. And her spirit has also been seen dancing in the Blossom Ballroom.
So when we go to California, we're staying there.
Yeah. As mentioned before, Carol Lombard has also been seen nearby the suite she once shared with Clark Gable. In 1958, actor Montgomery Clift was in a car accident that almost completely ruined his acting career. He never fully recovered from the accident, which left a horrible facial scar, and he turned to drugs and alcohol to make himself feel better, which affected his job. And his restless spirit is said to wander in room 928 and in the 9th floor hallway. Some maids have reported feeling something cold brush by them while cleaning and have felt a presence walk beside them. One of the more interactive and spooky experiences was had by a guest who was laying in bed reading with her husband beside her. All of a sudden, she felt someone pat her shoulder. Then, thinking it was her husband, she turned to talk to him, but was surprised to see him asleep. I would be freaked out.
Right.
Psychic Peter James spent a night in room 928 and reported seeing Clift's ghost sitting in a chair in one corner of the room. He watched the spirit for several minutes in that same spot until it disappeared. And there is also a male entity that graces the Blossom Ballroom. It is reported that he is dressed in a tuxedo as if he were attending an event. And according to psychics, he was an award nominee and an Oscar banquet attendee who is still very much attached to his career and dreams. And the Blossom Ballroom is also a favorite of another male spirit that has been seen wearing a tuxedo as well, except this one plays the piano. And some guests of the hotel were exploring the mezzanine area when they heard piano playing. However, when they peered over the balcony, they saw a man in a white tuxedo, and he disappeared moments after he was seen. And there are also some spirits at the Roosevelt Hotel who have little to no connection to the glitz and glamour of old Hollywood. Caroline is reported to be the youngest among the hotel's permanent residents.
Why is it always going to be Caroline?
I don't know.
There's like several child ghosts named Caroline.
Maybe Carolines just don't have good luck. Psychic Peter James was the first to encounter her back in 1992 in the former Academy Room, which is also maybe important to note is the Roosevelt Hotel was the place where the very first Academy Awards took place.
Nice.
Even though it only lasted a few minutes, it was the first place. And the Academy Room is now called the Penthouse Library. He reported seeing her crying and asked her what was wrong. She said she's worried about her mom getting hurt. And then she simply disappeared when the psychic tried to comfort her. Today, Caroline still plays around and roams the hallways while looking for her mother. Guests and employees say that she looks just like a real child, usually wearing a pink jacket and jeans. One of the receptionists who saw her thought she was alive as she skipped around the lobby singing. At one point, security personnel that were monitoring the CCTV cameras reported seeing a person swimming in the pool later at night or when the pool is closed for guests. But once they head over to the pool area, they find that no one is there. And it appears that there are some strong emotional attachments that keep spirits at this hotel. It's a lot for a hotel.
Right.
But that is what I have. And I would really like to revisit this, because I could do a whole episode just on all the random knowledge I have.
Right.
On old Hollywood.
Whose idea was this episode?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
But I wasn't going to say no.
Right, you were going to run with it.
Right. But yeah.
I remember saying that's right up your alley.
Yeah. So.
This is a good one.
It was a good one.
I like it. Man, this book that I bought for McKay's for $5 coming in clutch these past couple of episodes. Look at it. Look at it.
Whale.
Oh, I
thought I was going to throw up.
Oh.
I'd have been a chunky burp. My nonprofit of the week this week is My Parker Project. So Parker Angelus Diaz was born in West Covina, California on October 5th, 2000. He was raised by his father, the founder of Parker Project, Daniel Diaz, and his grandparents, Jose and Gloria Diaz. In 2006, Parker's grandfather retired and decided to move the family to San Antonio, Texas, seeking a better educational system. Peter was a happy child with an old soul, as is the case most often when children are raised by their grandparents. Parker was bilingual. He spoke Spanish and English. He liked martial arts and video games. In 2010, Parker began to have what his family thought were growing pains in his legs. Parker's father and grandparents sought medical attention from many places, general practitioners, orthopedic doctors, and specialists to attempt to figure out what the pains were attributed to. On February 9th, 2011, while checking into a specialist's office, the nurses found that despite Parker feeling normal, his blood pressure was dangerously high. He was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance. Parker and his family spent 2 weeks at Methodist Children's Hospital, and after many tests, doctors found a tumor on his adrenal gland the size of an orange. He was diagnosed with adrenal carcinoma, a cancer that is very rare for someone at such a young age. Parker had surgery to remove the tumor, and with aggressive chemotherapy, he did get better for a short time. A few months later, the cancer grew back. There were a few days during each month when the chemotherapy cycled out of Parker's body, where he could do normal things like going shopping at Target. His family grew to truly appreciate those good times, as they were few and far between. And on March 13th, 2012, after 13 months of chemotherapy and radiation, Parker lost his fight to cancer. Let me go to their website real quick, because I didn't get the information on what it is they actually do, and put it in there.
This is a sad story.
It is a sad story. So basically what they do is they help families find alternatives to housing needs during their battles with cancer, and 90% of families are required to travel for treatment, and the financial toll can be devastating. And they also help where insurance and out-of-pocket resources cannot. And the average cost incurred for medical treatment of pediatric cancer is nearly $850,000, and this is 12 times the average of the U.S. household income. And they also offer transportation assistance, and they also... It says, through the struggles on the journey to recovery, it's beyond important to ensure the spirits of both the children and their families is maintained. Mind over matter is something we believe in, and that said, a happy family has the best shot in beating these diseases. We help by offering trips to theme parks, nearby family outings, and group setting support possibilities. And they go on to say, those 13 months were a blur for the Diaz family, but their number one priority was to get Parker better, make him happy, and make him comfortable. Spending weeks at a time in the hospital for chemotherapy treatments became a normal part of life. Parker's father would go to work during the day while his grandparents watched over him in the hospital, and then return in the evening to shower, sleep, and repeat the next day. Getting any member of the family to leave the hospital for rest was nearly impossible. The Diaz family's life was consumed by making Parker comfortable, which left a lot of the day-to-day tasks and activities difficult or unfinished. Vehicle maintenance, home cleanliness, personal hygiene, and health all suffered during the 13-month period of helping Parker fight cancer. And 10 years after Parker's passing, his dad, Dan Diaz, reflected on his time during those 13 months and thought about the many families he had met that couldn't spend the night while their child was having chemotherapy treatments because they couldn't afford childcare for their other children at home. The parents who couldn't afford to take time off from work because their family's livelihood and survival depended on it. He thought of the families that didn't have transportation and had to take their child with cancer on the bus for hours to make it to chemotherapy treatments. So, the Parker Project was founded by Dan Diaz with those families in mind, helping families with normal day-to-day financial burdens to improve the quality of life for the child battling cancer. So, a link to directly donate to that organization will be available. I just thought it was it was a cute and sad, like it started out so cute. He's raised by his grandparents and his dad, and then he gets sick.
Right.
That's messed up. But I'm glad his dad found a way to help other families who were going through the same
for sure.
thing. It was a long explanation of it, but it's a good story.
It's a great story.
So,
finding light in a situation that otherwise you wouldn't find.
Right. So,
that's what you got?
Yep.
I got a question.
Yes.
That appears to be a license plate over there.
Yes.
What is that?
I think, I want to say it's a Tennessee government license plate. I don't know.
You have it?
My grandfather had it.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know.
One of her many oddities.
Yeah. Look around. You'll keep seeing something weird.
Right. I found something new in this room that I've never noticed before, whether it's actually new to the room or not. Every time I come in here, and like, I've been here 1,001,000 times.
Well, it's always changing. It's ever changing.
Well, this is true, but like, I mean, there's stuff in here that I know has been in here for forever that I've just never really paid attention to. But
I got my Taylor Swift snow globes.
Woo.
I'm just saying.
Just saying.
Look,
Is that what
they
those
even
are?
play her songs.
I'm good.
I don't have batteries in them.
Oh, seriously, don't do it.
No, because this one plays the 10-minute version of All Too Well.
Oh. Anyways. So, it's another good episode in the books, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. We're so glad to have you again.
Yeah.
Maybe by the time you guys hear this, we'll have hit, like, I don't know, I'm going to be optimistic and say 1,500 streams.
Maybe.
But yeah, we are going to get to planning for the next month and hopefully get some good stuff coming to you.
Yep.
So yeah. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week.
Yep. Follow us on Instagram,
TikTok,
Facebook,
Twitter.
Email us
at
wandersofweird@gmail.com.
gmail.com.
And don't forget to be a good human this week.
Right. Share us.
Yeah. Tell who we telling this week? Your chiropractor.
Yeah, tell your chiropractor.
Tell your chiropractor about us.
I like it.
I've been watching a chiropractor on YouTube, Dr. Brenda Mondragon. Oh my god,
I love watching chiropractor.
The way I want this woman to crack me like a glow stick and then beat me up after is just because she also does soft tissue work.
See, that sounds fantastic, but like the aftermath soreness.
Well, she's like she says to everybody in her videos. She's like, I know what it looks like on camera, and it looks like it's so relaxing. She was like, but it's actually kind of brutal. And they're like, yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be like this, because she like gets in there, and I'm just like, oh.
Listen, I
just want her to get all my knots.
It's been how many years ago did I have my hip replacement? 3 years ago?
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, well, 2.5.
You're probably creeping up on 3.
Yeah, because, but, like, I had that done in January, so, like, November, December of the prior year, I went and had a massage, and, like, when I tell you she got in there, and, like, so much so that, like, she touched one part of my back and it popped. And, like, she's not a chiropractor, so she doesn't do that. But, like, she was like, oh, I guess that just needed to go. I'm like, I guess so. But, like, Oh, it felt so good, but I was in because I had a doctor's appointment that day. That was my first appointment with an orthopedic surgeon, and so we had gone to see one orthopedic surgeon, and she took a look at it and was like, "No, this needs to be replaced like yesterday," and so she referred me out to a different orthopedic surgeon within the practice because she didn't do replacements. She just did like I think it's called like arthroscopies or whatever, where she like takes it out, scrapes it out, cleans it up, puts it back together.
Ooh, that sounds icky.
I think that's what she did. But she referred me out to a different one. So, like, I was kind of in a weird mindset that day. Like, I was trying to wrap my head around the fact that I was, like, I knew that it needed to be replaced. But I was trying to wrap my head around the fact that it was going to be replaced and that it was about to happen. Yeah. I just didn't realize how fast it was going to happen. Because, like I said, that was, like, late November, early December. I want to say it was, like, early December. And that's not something
you usually think about having to do in your 30s.
Right. I want to say it was, like, early December. And I literally had the surgery done, like, mid-January.
Yeah.
So within a month and a half.
And you recovered like super fast too.
You say that. It felt like a million.
I'm sure going through it feels awful.
It was it sucked so bad. I hated every second of it. It's better now. It could be a lot better than what it is, but I didn't take heed of what the doctor was telling me and that I needed to lose weight and have a healthier lifestyle, but
you always gotta listen to your
doctor. I know.
I say that while I eat a full Toblerone.
But yeah, so I was in a weird headspace, and so like we went, because TJ had gone with me that day, and I went in first, and she like really didn't talk a whole lot to me. She just went to work, and when I tell you, like, this woman's hands were hot, and they felt so good, and like, it was like a magical experience. Like, she was projecting, like, Reiki work, like, projecting heat through her hands. You could just feel the energy. And so, like, she didn't speak a whole lot to me. There wasn't a whole lot of conversation. I was just trying to relax and kind of wrap my head around the information that I had just gotten.
Right.
Well, TJ went in behind me, and he said she talked his head off, was dropping F-bombs left and right.
She must have known that you needed.
That's what I said. I was like, she must have picked up on the fact that I was like in a weird headspace that day. Yeah. But yeah, it popped my back. I need to go to a chiropractor so bad.
Yeah.
I've
thought about reaching out to this one. She's in Orlando. It's a hop, skip, and a jump from my sister's house.
There's one literally right up the street from where you work.
Yeah, but it's not the same. I want this lady.
I mean, I get
to
it.
dig her elbows into
want
my
somebody
ribs.
To crack my back. I
don't know. I really do.
I don't know if I can though. Like with my hip replacement, can they still do that?
They can, but you let them know that.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Because like even like she's like, please let me know if you've even broken a toe. Because she pops everything, like except for a section of the neck. She just does the top two vertebrae. And then she goes into, like, ribs and stuff.
Man, I'm telling you, I feel like if I could get my back adjusted, my back and neck adjusted, I would probably gain, like, 2 or 3 inches.
Oh, I'm sure. I think that's probably why I lost a half an inch. Because, like, I was 5'4". And now I'm, like, 5'3.5".
It happens.
So either I'm shrinking or I'm just...
Maybe that's why my mom's so short.
Maybe she just got bad posture.
Mother, that hump that you got on your neck that all of us have, go get that adjusted and see if you gain a couple inches. See if it makes you as tall as what your attitude seems to be.
Is it like right
Yes.
here? So it's not, it's according to, because the way that Dr. Mondragon like said it, she was like, I don't mean this callously. She was like, but it's a fat pocket. She was like, whenever, like, as, like, if you put weight on, she was like, the spine holds it in certain places. And that's one of the places.
Well, there's your answer, Mother.
Because I've got the same thing. And it's like, I can feel that it's just like a big old, just sack of fat. Mine's probably bigger, but I've always referred to it as a dowager's hump for some reason. I don't know where I heard that term, but
so maybe if my mom got her stuff adjusted, she'd
yeah. I mean, you might notice a difference.
It might make her as tall as her attitude seems, as tall as she thinks she is.
Maybe.
I'm telling you, that woman is like maybe 1 or 2 inches taller than being a certified, like, little person. But when she gets upset, you'd think this woman is 10 foot tall.
See, I don't think of her as short. Maybe it's because I'm short.
Maybe.
I mean, I'm not as short as her. I'm definitely taller than her, but I don't think of her as, like, super short.
I think she's short. Let me tell you, though.
But you're taller than me, so...
One time, we went to an O'Charlie's right after a funeral with the family. And, like, we walked in, and the hostess was, like, super hateful. And so my mom got real upset because she was, I think it was like my grandmother or grandfather. It had to have been granddaddy. And she was already, you know, not in a good headspace because it was her parent.
Right.
And so, like, the hostess lady was so hateful to us. My mama, all up on this woman with some attitude. Well, then she called the manager out, and the manager comes out, and the hostess is like, well, that woman got all up in my face, and my dad was like, sweetheart, if my wife had gotten in your face, you'd have to be on your ass. Because the girl was tall. She was like, you know, my height or taller. But, yeah, that was a little funny story. I love my mama. I do. But, well, thanks for coming, guys. Share us out. Leave us reviews. Let us know what you think. Give us ideas, spooky stories, local lore, anything you want to share with us. Let us know where you're listening from.
Give us ideas for spooky October.
Yeah.
Because we got that coming up.
Yeah, I'm real excited about October. That Samhain episode.
Yeah, because we
that's our favorite.
We started like right at the end of October.
That's our favorite season, guys.
Yeah,
that's it. Like
that'll be the most exciting part of the whole year.
Right. From mid-August to first, you know, November 1. That's it for us.
Spooky season.
That's us. But all right, guys.
Okay, bye.
Bye.